A Silent Voice came out back in 2016 and was received pretty well, so I'm pretty sure most people have watched it by now. It was one of the first anime movies I ever watched, all thanks to my brother. I enjoyed the beginning at first, but we had to stop watching because it was getting late, so I think we watched it the next day or two. I ended up liking the movie so much I bought the entire manga series, the first complete manga series I owned. It really hit me in the feels, even as an edgy 14-year-old. The story Shoya goes through as a character was amazing. All of the characters were very well written as well. Shoko, of course, Yzuru, Ueno, Miyoko, Miki, Tomohiro. Then when I started reading the manga, it gave you more details on the characters and the plot. There was a whole subplot about a movie the characters were working on that was cut from the movie. The manga also expands on the characters a lot more, even when I thought the characters were already so well done. When I finished the manga, I thought about the story for a while after. Too bad I didn't really fully appreciate it back then. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, but I was just looking at it at face value, not actually taking the lessons it taught with me. So let's take a look back on A Silent Voice, the movie, and the manga. This time, I'm actually going to be looking at both the manga and the movie adaptation fully, as I think the movie adds things such as great visuals and audio to the story that elevates the experience, but the manga has a B in the story department. Both of course are both amazing and have their pros and cons. A Silent Voice has so many themes to it: getting out of your comfort zone, understanding people, bullying, mental health, and more. There's just so much, which is so amazing because A Silent Voice tackles the themes so well. It's unbelievable. I don't even know where to start. So I guess I'll just start at the beginning of the story. Back in Shoka's and Shoya's elementary school. There's a lot we can learn from this time in both of their lives and their classmates' lives. It's what sets up the rest of the story as well. Shoya bullying Shoko is hard to see. It's really harsh. Not only does he tease her, but he goes as far as fighting her and taking away her hearing aids. Shoya sees Shoko as an alien since she can't hear. At that age, he just couldn't comprehend that Shoko was just another person like him. He sees her as a tool to use to fight boredom. Before Shoko arrives at his school, Shoya and his friends do other things to fight boredom, like jumping from bridges and catching animals, until his friends Kazuki and Hirose stop wanting to do daredevil stunts with Shoya. Right at that time, Shoko transfers to their school. It was a perfect time for Shoya to start using Shoko as a tool to fight boredom. Shoko was an easy target because he couldn't understand her, because she was different, until Shoya is slowly blamed for Shoko's bullying despite not being the only culprit. Shoya becomes the outcast and sees how it feels. Shoko blames herself for why Shoya bullied her. She blames herself because she is different. Instead of defending herself, she says, "I'm sorry" to Shoya over again. Even when Shoko and Shoya end up fighting, Shoko still says, "I'm doing the best I can." This is one of the best scenes in the story. It shows so much about both of them. Shoya doesn't understand why Shoko is wiping his desk off from insults he is receiving from bullying her, despite all he has done to her. And Shoko is doing the best she can do to make up for her disability because she blames herself for it and the bullying she received. This scene carries over to the present when both of their characters' arcs are basically based on what happens in this scene. Shoko has to learn to not hate herself, and Shoya has to learn to understand others and also not hate himself. Fast forward to the present, Shoka is tying all the loose ends in his life before he commits suicide, giving Shoko's notebook back and learning sign language to communicate with her. When Shoya gives Shoko's notebook back, I think Shoya realizes that it isn't exactly enough to just give Shoko's notebook back. He must understand her. Shoya gives life another chance, now to try to make up for what he took from Shoko. This sparks Shoya's and Shoko's character arc. Not only does Shoya meet up with Shoko, but he also meets his soon-to-be best friend Tomohiro. They meet because of Shoya doing something very out of character from his old self. That is letting someone borrow his bike. I really think he does this because Shoko gives him hope for the future and something to look forward to. By saying "see you later" instead of just bye, Shoya being at rock bottom and having no one close to him sees this as something special. Someone actually wants to see him. Younger Shoya wouldn't have understood this and of course would have been mad at Shoko for being nice. Shoya lets the stranger that was trying to steal Tomohiro's bike borrow his. Shoya's bike is instead stolen, but Tomohiro thanks him for it by getting Shoya's bike back for him, making Tomohiro Shoya's first friend in years. This is back-to-back instances of someone giving hope for Shoya's future and something to look forward to. Tomohiro shows Shoya that doing something nice to someone usually will come back to you. Not only does it work for being mean to people, but also with being nice to people. Tomohiro is a great friend. He is very funny, but not only that, he teaches Shoya many life lessons and helps him out with many things, such as trying to talk to Shoko. One of the most important things Tomohiro says is, "Friendship is deeper than words and logic." Shoya soon learns this as he makes friends with Shoko and the others. As the story moves along, Shoya not only develops friendships with Shoko and Tomohiro, but many others, like Shoko's sister Yzuru, Miki, Satoshi, Miyoko, and somewhat Ueno. Naoka is one of the most interesting characters in the story. Naoka is almost stuck in the past. When first seeing Shoko again for the first time, Naoka immediately takes her earpiece away and tells Shoya to throw it around. Since Shoya is past that, he refuses. Naoka wants things like they used to be. Even later trying to get Shoya to make up with his old friends Kazuki and Hirose that ended up turning on him. Instead of Naoka changing, she sees Shoko as someone who tore her old friend group apart. Naoka is really hard to understand. She seems stuck to the past. She also hints at liking Shoya, so that could be a reason why she wants him to go back to his old self. Also, why Naoka is jealous of the fact that Shoya and Shoko are not friends. Not a character that I hate though. She's really hard to understand. She likes Shoya a lot, and when he was outcasted in elementary school, instead of sticking with him, she stuck with the crowd. So like Shoya trying to make things up for Shoko, she tried to make things up for Shoya, like trying to reunite him with his old friends. Also, take care of him at the hospital. I understand Naoka trying to make it up for Shoya, but her being mean to Shoko just because she believes she tore them apart is wrong, and is a clear flaw she has. Naoka was able to make up with Miyoko despite teasing her in elementary school, so I don't get why she couldn't do the same with Shoko. Miyoko and Naoka become close friends because of their common interest in fashion. Miyoko was the only real person that tried to help Shoko in elementary school. Miyoko is really a great person. Miyoko unfortunately is teased, so is forced to switch schools. Shoya luckily later in life makes Miyoko and Shoko reunite. Miyoko goes through her character arc as well, but before the events of the movie, as she says at the amusement park. Miyoko used to have many insecurities and still has some of them, but now decides to face them head on, and decides if things are scary after she has done them. One of my favorite lines from the movie. Someone else that is nice but really just pretends to be nice is Miki, my least favorite character in the story. Actually, the only character I dislike. Miki is easily just so self-centered and only cares about herself. She claims that she did nothing wrong in elementary school, but in reality just sat back and watched and also stuck with the crowd just like Ueno, but doesn't blame herself at all. Actually fabricates a false reality and says that she tried to stop everyone else. She does this when she confronts Shoya about what he did to Shoko in the past, and when Shoya says it wasn't just him, she says he is fabricating events and starts crying. This is when most people start hating her a lot. Not only that, but when she talks to Shoko, she talks to her only to mention how nice she is to her, and only for her own sake, and not just to get to know Shoko. Miki is very self-centered and just a follower of Satoshi. Satoshi doesn't get much development in the movie, but in the manga, he is like a different character. Satoshi hates bullies and lashes out at some kids when him and Shoya are passing by some kids getting bullied. Not only that, but he lashes out at Shoya's old teacher for not stepping up for Shoko's bullying, and he punches Shoya for bullying Shoko. He clearly just hates mean people and isn't afraid to stand up to people because he was also bullied in the past. I really like Satoshi as a matter of fact. The last character I want to slightly touch on is Yzuru. Yzuru is such a good character in my opinion. The backstory of her is also very well done. Yzuru wants to appear as a guy to protect her sister Shoko. This starts when as a child, her mother is trying to get Shoko to cut her hair really short to appear stronger like a boy. But instead, Yzuru cuts her own hair really short to stand out for Shoko instead. Throughout her childhood, Yzuru had to see her sister come home with bruises and scratches from being bullied. She hated seeing this and decided to protect Shoko. Yzuru also falls into a depression herself and stops going to school and just takes pictures, which she loves doing. She takes pictures of dead animals so she can discourage Shoko from committing suicide with gruesome imagery of dead animals. This is why she takes down her photos after Shoko attempts suicide. I love Yzuru a lot because she is insanely caring of her sister and just a great character overall, despite her methods of protecting her sister being flawed because she is still young. A silent voice movie adaptation is so well done as well. Instead of just taking the manga and making it animated, they take all the unique aspects that anime has over manga, which is sound and visuals, and goes crazy with it, delivering one of the best animated films ever. A Silent Voices movie utilizes the sound so well. It uses it as a theme in the movie, of course, since it deals with a deaf character. A prime example of this is when Shoko is introducing herself to the class, and the audio here is just so genius. It's silent but utilizes music at such perfect timing. I don't really know how to describe it honestly, since I'm not an expert in this sort of thing, so I'll just play a short clip. Not only that though, but the soundtrack is so great. Throughout the whole movie, the music fits so perfectly and makes me feel so many emotions. My two favorites being the theme when all the exes on the people fall off and Shoya is finally able to accept everyone into his life. Also the ending theme, which I have had on repeat while writing the scripts. The visuals also are so well done. Kyoto Animation uses lighting in so many subtle ways that are effective at portraying story details. You might not notice it, but you'll definitely feel it when watching. It's something that adds a lot without most viewers even realizing it. Also, many shots use barriers between characters, signifying distance between them. There's just so many small details that are used in the animation and audio department that go unnoticed the first time you watch the movie that add a lot. A silent voice is a story that could easily change someone's life, and I'm sure it did to many people. Shoya changed so much as not only a character, but as a person, because that's what he feels like, a real person. He struggles to understand people at first and shuts people out, but learns to understand them. Shoya goes through a redemption story and improves so much as a person, from hating himself to accepting himself and other people. It's very inspirational and just makes you want to care for others. Not only does Shoya go through a lot, but Shoko goes through just as much. Learning that Shoko hates herself is so heartbreaking when we first find out. Actually, is so innocent. She apologizes for everything in the beginning because she blames herself. Shoya helps her accept that she shouldn't hate herself. Shoko also helps out Shoya face his fears, which is people, when they go to the movie festival at their school, which is my favorite scene, when Shoya is finally able to see everyone face to face and not being ashamed of who he is. Shoko also being able to accept herself. Overall, this movie is so good and sends so many good messages. At its core, its theme is don't bully people, but it's also so much deeper than that. Not only is it a message to be nice to people, but also has themes in friendship, understanding people, suicide, depression, disabilities, and facing one's fears. It's all done so well and wrapped up perfectly in my opinion. One of the few movies and manga series I would call a masterpiece. Not because it's perfect, but how meaningful it is. It might not have the best writing, but sure as hell does have one of the best themes in a story ever. So looking back on A Silent Voice, it hits me even harder than when I first watched it now that I'm able to understand it even more. There's a lot I could analyze this movie and manga on, but I chose to keep it short and just reminisce on one of my favorite movies and manga series of all time.